at a certain point, it's not about the technical things. It's not about the stuff you worked out. It's not about the really intricate stuff that will make everybody go wow and ooh and ah. No, man. At the end of the day, it's about that shit that's inside of you. So you gotta just like, I feel this. I need to say this right now.
So here we are with Mr. James Casey from Trey Anastasio Band. James, how we doing, man? How we doing?
I'm doing okay. You know, it's a nice day outside, so we're good. We're good.
It's a nice day. It's a new day. So for everyone out there listening, aside from Trey, James says he's worked with some amazing artists, some world-class artists, including The Roots, Anderson .Paak, Fish, Wu-Tang, J. Cole, John Legend, Dave Matthews. The list, it goes on. James is a producer as well as a saxophone player, singer, percussionist. James, man, so glad to have you here on the show.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
So I think a good way to start this off would be talking about, some of the things you've learned from different artists along the way, and specifically what you think is most important when it comes to being a band leader and also a great bandmate.
Cool. All right. So those are two different things. I mean, completely different things. I'm 39. So I've been in this industry my whole life, and you learn a lot along the way. Being a good bandmate is all about just listening, listen and take in stuff, and then actually just be okay with being wrong, be okay with your ideas not necessarily being the ones that make it to the thing. You know what I'm saying? Be okay with you not having the best idea or the best, like the way it should go might not be your way, but it might be your way. And that's okay. Be okay with criticism. Be okay with people just being like, it might not be this way. If you can do that, you will go a whole lot longer than people who are like, yeah, but I'm right. And you might be right, but no one cares. Like, you might be right. You might have the best idea. You might have, like, your music or your whatever might be the best thing, but it doesn't matter because you're not in charge. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be okay with that. Now, being a leader, that's hard because it's the same thing. You might not have the best idea, and you have to be okay with you being leader guy not being in control all the time, which is a whole nother, that's a whole different topic, and it's more difficult to deal with than being somebody who acquiesces to leadership. So, I learned a lot, but when I first moved to New York, I had a lot of old heads like sit me down and tell me like, look, it's okay. Like you're talented, and we're not going to worry about like your direction. What we're going to worry about is just how you interact with other people. I have a lot of ideas. I'm one of those type of people who have a lot of ideas for things, and it's always trying something new. And that doesn't always work in leadership situations. Sometimes you just have to be the rock that lets everyone else do what they do. And you have to be okay with that as well. A really good band leader lets the people in their band be themselves. For instance, I play in Trey Anastasio's band. Natalie, Jennifer, and I, we are a horn section and a vocal section. But we are great because of our own individual greatness or our own individual work ethic and excellence, like our striving for excellence. But when you put it together, like we're all trying to do the same thing. So that just makes everything that much easier and that much better and that much more musical, and like, it's better. You know what I mean?
Looking back at some of the most impactful lessons you've learned as an artist, what do you think are some of the most pivotal lessons you've learned that have caused you to be better?
I think I just said it. You're not always right. That's the biggest lesson. You're not always right. Your ideas might be the perfect idea for this one thing, but it might not be the best thing for this thing. And most people who are in leadership positions feel like they have to alpha dog everything. They have to be like, all right, this is me. I'm the one in charge. Like, that's not the way it has to be. Like, I find a collaborative situation is better. So
Mm.
to get to the point where if you're a musician and you're still a musician, like after 10 years, 15 years, you've been told you're right. You've been right. You've been, your answer to a situation might have been the one many times along the line, but that doesn't mean it's always the case. And the best leaders know when to acquiesce. So that's the best leaders know when it's time to let somebody else be in front.
So James, jumping to the side a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear what you think it is about music that can cause for it to heal people.
All right, so I come from the gospel background. The idea of spirituality with music is completely tied. And I've seen it change. I've seen when people hear songs or when people sing songs over and over again, or when people feel a certain type of way from music, and it changes their mindset, or it changes their feeling, or it changes their actions. I've watched it happen so many times, and I see it happen all the time, like in every genre of music and every style. I really don't know why it happens, but I know that it does because I've seen it so many times. I've seen people's whole demeanor, and like if you hear a song in the right way in the right time, it could speak to you in a way that it never did before and it never will again. And those moments, those are the things that I strive for. I want somebody to feel something from what I'm doing. And sometimes you know, sometimes it doesn't hit. Sometimes I'm feeling a certain type of way that it may not reach you, but when it does, when it does hit, I guess one of the most beautiful things on earth. Where I come from in the gospel world, there will be a time in every service where we all sing together, right? And it's like a fellowship thing. Like no matter what's going on, if you're singing, you end up feeling like you feel good, you feel happy because the songs are happy and everybody's fellowship is happy. Or if the song is like really powerful, like you feel a certain type of way. And I've seen people's lives change like that. So.
Aside from getting to perform, I'd love to hear about some of the different things that have given you the most solace and relief with what you've been going through with your current cancer treatment.
Oh, interaction with fans and friends. So I went to school with a whole bunch of great musicians, and I never get to play with them anymore because it's like we've all like spread out and everything. And every once in a while I get a chance to play with my friends, and that really means something. You know what I'm saying? Like these are people who I came up with musically, and like we speak a language that you don't get very often. So it's like when you find a group of people that you mess with musically, it's a great thing. So getting to hang with them, getting to see them, getting to play with them, that's definitely giving me a boost. And the interactions with the fans that have grown in the last year have been way more than anything that I could have ever hoped for, because we spend a whole lot of time by ourselves in the corner working on this music stuff. Jazz players tend to be most musicians who like really get to the point of being great or like really strive for greatness, we spend a whole lot of time by ourselves in a room. So when we go out to present it to people, like, but especially jazz players, we tend to be so focused on what we're doing. We're not like openly facing. We don't interact as much with the crowd. Like Miles used to play with his back to the audience, and that was so he could play with his band. But there tends to be, for people like me, a bit of a barrier between like the crowd, like the audience, and the people, and like us. So this whole process I've had to open up just because of the way it works, and the response from everyone has been way more than anything that I could have ever anticipated. And I don't really know how to truly express that. I'm not very good at showing appreciation as much as many other people are. But the way that the fans and like the music lovers and people who just reached out and shown love is it's been a little difficult to experience, having not experienced that for such a long time. But that's been the best part.
I'm curious what you've learned about managing and overcoming like fear and anxiety throughout this whole treatment process.
Okay, so I mean, if you're a performer, so you know about the anxiety of going on stage. So I used to have a lot of anxiety whenever because what I didn't know is I would have panic attacks because I have asthma. I had no idea. But that anxiety doesn't really always. I mean, it might diminish, and I'm much more comfortable. I'm comfortable as hell on stage. I'm more comfortable on stage than I am off stage. But we played this past weekend at the Capitol Theater with Phil Lesh, and I was singing songs that I did not know. So there was a bit of anxiety there. It was like, some heart palpitations. Like before I go on, it's like, all right, this is interesting. Let's do this. But I mean, it never really goes away. I mean, there's always in there a little bit somewhere, but you just go. I mean, you swallow it and go, because I mean, all of that is just basically nervous energy. And at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing. So when I go on stage and perform, the second I start we're good.
And is this kind of an analogy to how you would manage and overcome the fear, associated with your disease?
It's the same thing for everything. At least that's how I picture it. I kind of, the way I view music is kind of the way I view life. So if you work on something really hard, eventually you'll get better at it. If I work on dealing with this disease, eventually I'll get better at least what I have to deal with. I'm not afraid of the possibilities and the outcomes, because I can't control anything that I can't control. What I can control is what I put in my body, what I put out to the world. So I do what I can, and I do what I can as well as I possibly can, and then go forward. I mean, everything else, you deal with it when it comes, but there's no reason for me to be fearful about something that I can't control. So let's just go forward positively.
Well, I love that outlook. Well, if you made it this far, thank you for listening. Just want to let y'all know we've got these hand-dyed, ice-dyed Weird Music Podcast hoodies and also tees. If you'd like one, let us know. We'd love to get you one. Also want to give a big shout out to Voodoo Ranger from New Belgium Brewing for sponsoring this podcast. And a big thank you to the geniuses over at Thrax CBD for sponsoring us with their amazing products. Also want to give a big thank you to J&J Distribution, Ohio's premier Delta 8 and CBD wholesale supplier. Retailers, check out their brands Cloud 8, Compassionate Buds, and Zaza. Also a big thank you to our local print shop, Franklinton Press. Definitely hit them up for any of your custom merch or custom printing needs. They'll take good care of you. Got links in the description. And yeah, much love, y'all. Now back to the episode. So, going through life, we go through things, but we also have to be a friend to people who in our lives go through things. And I'd like to hear from you kind of some of the ways people close to you in your life have made a difference for you as you've been going through this.
All right. So if you look right there, I know for people, I know it's a podcast. I'm sorry for everybody who's viewing this. Behind me, I have a bunch of stuff. And one of the things that I'm pointing to right now is a vinyl of Marvin Gaye, one of Marvin Gaye's old albums called The Soulful Moods. And a fan turned friend sent me that vinyl, not knowing that my grandfather played on that record. So like they sent me that just because, everybody was sending me vinyls when I first got diagnosed, and Trey sent me a record player, and a lot of people sent me things. But the fact that somebody went out of the way to send me something, not knowing how it actually actually would hit, that's amazing, man. And everyone who sent me stuff and everyone who's reached out during this whole time has made this whole thing it has made it so much easier because of the love that they've sent. So,
and what about with your closest friends?
With my closest friends, okay, so my closest friends do all the things. The things that are difficult, the things that are this shit is hard, man. Going through chemo sucks. Going through chemo publicly, like in a public facing thing, probably sucks that much more just because everyone sees everything. So my friends are the only ones who are keeping me going. That's not true. That's not true. My friends are the ones who are keeping me going. Like in a day-to-day, you know what I'm saying? I could talk, every conversation that I have with anybody outside of my close circle is always heavy because it's always about the first thing that everyone asks about is, how are you doing? Like, how are you feeling? How, you know, it's always about that. And my friends, the thing that they've done is they've stayed who they were. You know, they don't ask anything else. They're not asking about how I'm doing. We're still talking about the Ravens. You know what I'm saying? We're still talking about football. We're still talking about like the things that have mattered to me this whole time. And that's the thing that has made it so much easier to deal with. They take the stress of this mess off.
Do you feel like there's been any minor or major shifts in what's important to you since the diagnosis?
Yes, absolutely. Family, more important than anything. It's always been more important than anything. But unfortunately, with this career, the music industry and the artist's career arc, you get so much, we get so focused on ourselves that like it's hard to do, man. It's hard to do. But this whole process has gotten me back to the things that are more important to me. And the things that are most important to me is my family and the people around me. The way that I view it is cancer kind of distills everything out. Like it hits you, it's a wrecking ball. It literally knocks everything out and it distills everything in your life to the things that are most important, because all I have right now is my friends and family, music, and health. That's it. So these are the three things that I have to deal with, and these are the only three things that I have to deal with going forward, at least right now. So
I'm curious what you've learned ultimately brings you as an artist the most like true fulfillment.
I said it, man. It's playing with my friends. Because when I'm playing with my friends, I can use the full ability that I have. Because we know each other so well, because we're all like in that same place, the possibilities are endless. And that's the thing that that I love. And it doesn't happen very often. Like when you find a group of people that you mess with musically, it's incredible. I mean, to put it in perspective, I'm sure that Trey feels the same way about Fish. Because I mean, those are the four, I mean, that's that group that they've worked it out together. They've grown together, and they've been, they know each other's music, they know each other's musicality as well as anybody who would know. I mean, as well as, Trey and Miles did, as well as, anybody has in the history of all this stuff. So, I mean, I'm trying to impart on your listeners that that means something. That really does mean something. Like one of my closest musical collaborators is Louis Cato. Louis Cato is he's a multi-instrumentalist, one of my best friends. He actually is my niece's father. And we don't get to play at all. He's now the house band leader of Stephen Colbert show. And we don't get to play at all anymore. We get to play maybe like once a year. But when we do it every time, it's incredible, just because we grew up together musically. But I mean, when we get to do things, it's beautiful. It's nice. So when I get to play with my friends, I love it. Because of that, I'm trying to make a situation where I can continue to play with my friends often.
Mm-hmm. How would you say getting to play with your friends, performing live, writing music? How would you say that that's like a spiritual experience for you?
Okay, so let's talk about improvisation for a second. I feel like for me, there's two different ways that I go about improv: the mental way, and then there's the emotional way. I try to use a combination of both. Everybody who gets deep enough into their their instrument or their art, it becomes more than just the technical. It's the emotional. It's the thing that you're putting into it that's just you, that's of you. It's your emotions, bro. It's all of it. And I kind of follow the path of Coltrane a little bit. The whole idea for me in improvisation is be able to go straight from my brain straight out. So no thinking, no nothing, to just go straight. But that's an emotional thing. Like, you can only get to that point if it's straight emotion and straight, like, you're not thinking about the horn anymore. You're not thinking about the instrument anymore. The instrument, you've gotten to the point of the instrument being one with you. I'm making it sound like real, like fanciful or whatever, but that's kind of the only way that I know how to put it, that everybody can get it. But like at a certain point, it's not about the technical things. It's not about the stuff you worked out. It's not about the really intricate stuff that will make everybody go wow and ooh and ah. No, man. At the end of the day, it's about that shit that's inside of you. So you got to just I feel this. I need to say this right now. One of my favorite musicians on earth, his name is Nick Casarino. He plays in the Nth Power.
He's been on this show, actually. Big fan.
Man, I've known him for years, played with him for years. He's one of my favorite musicians of all time because of the fact that at a certain point in time, whenever he plays, it's straight from here, straight out. And not everybody can tap in like he can. And that's straight. I mean, you call it emotional, you call it spiritual, you call it whatever you want. But I think of that feeling, that whatever essence, whatever you want to call it, as all kind of the same thing. So the spirituality, the emotion, all of that of me playing, of me like pouring, whatever that's when the theory goes out the window. That's when all of that stuff, it's just it's guttural. It's like, it's how it's as primal as it gets, Yeah.
I'd love to hear, branching out further from this topic, I'd love to hear how you draw inspiration from things other than music.
Oh man, everything. I'm sure everybody feels this way. All the artists feel this way, but like, we all draw from life. Life is what we use as a template for our art. So I mean, just because, okay, here we go. Just because this particular thing that I painted the other, like a couple of weeks ago, doesn't necessarily look like anything that you think that it looks like. I mean, this is my idea of what art is. You know what I'm saying? This is, I think that this looks like Squidward's art. Whatever. But that's my thought.
I see that idea. Now.
You know what I'm saying? What is art? You know what I'm saying? Art is, I don't know. Art is a subjectively beautiful thing, and I don't know. We play music, and I play an instrument that only has one note at a time. So, I mean, I can only do so much in terms of bringing in things from outside to inside the art. So, the medium that I normally work out of is improvisation. So, I guess emotion would be the thing that I draw from outside. So, basically, however I'm feeling. Like, if I'm mad, that solo is going to be mad as hell. If I'm happy, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I'm pulling out what I'm feeling at the time, unless it's something specific. But in terms of all other types of art, I mean, like writing and things like that you have to draw from something. I had a teacher my first year in college tell me and I guess the rest of the class that, I got to get out the practice room. You have to get out the practice room and go live some life, because you don't have anything to play about. You literally just be running scales because like you don't have anything. If you don't have anything that people can latch on to, then you're just basically making noise.
I'd love to hear you talk about some specific things about some of your favorite artists that you admire that you think separates them from other artists.
Stevie Wonder is the best person to ever walk the earth. That's number one, and that's always number one. Stevie Wonder is the best person to ever pick up any instrument. He's the best person to ever write a damn song, and that's where we start, and that's where we end. Work ethic. I think that is the biggest thing that I learned from most of the major artists that I play with. While it might look like one thing on the outside, they work hard as hell, and they all once you get to a certain level, you're very, very, very calculated about what you do. Bruce Springsteen works really hard still. He doesn't need to work really hard. He's done all the things. That man has lived 5 different lifetimes for like as many people as whatever, but he still works hard as hell. Like Trey is what, 57, 58, something like that. They don't have to do anything except continue. But Trey literally is on the phone with his group, his team every day, working out something new because they're always working, they're always preparing, they're always going for it. It's the work ethic that makes it, man. And a lot of people think that you just get to whatever fame or you get to the thing and you're good. No, the second you stop working is the second you start falling. And the second you stop innovating, the second you stop trying is the second all that stuff just goes away. So I think that's the thing that I learned from every single person on that level. Work ethic. They all work really, really hard.
I think it'd be really cool for you to talk about some of the things that you admire specifically about your other bandmates in Trey Band.
Okay, so let's start with Russ. Russ Lawton is a rock drummer. I think he's about 68 too, somewhere around there. And there's no way in hell that he should be able to do what he does at all. Like this man, he walks somewhere around 20 to 30,000 steps every day before we start playing. Like he's literally you all don't know how hard it is to play drums for 4 hours straight. That's stupid. It's ridiculous. I mean, the work that we do with Trey Band is asinine. But this man does it, and he keeps his time and his energy. And I mean, having played drums my whole life, I don't know how he does it every night. I hope that you all understand how much work that this man puts in and how incredible it is that he's doing what he's doing. That's number one. All right, that's Russ. Russ and Ray, they're duo, they're tandem, and you can't have one without the other. Well, you can't, but you should. And them two together it's just magic. Like Jennifer and I just kind of sit over and just watch and just smile. They're friends. They came up playing together, so they sound like they came up playing together. They sound great. They sound like a tandem duo. So them being in the rhythm section with Trey's band makes it go that much farther. What you all probably don't know is that Ray really, really loves Monk, Thelonious Monk. And he brings in a whole bunch of stuff that it's not that you all aren't paying attention to it. It's that you don't know to pay attention to it, because a lot of the people who listen to the jam band stuff don't really know about jazz language and how it actually works and where the jam band stuff actually comes from. So he's bringing things in the same way that I do from other genres and other other places, and I appreciate it in a way that I hope that you all get to listen to and appreciate more. Dez is the bass player now. Dez took over for Tony once Tony passed, and I've known Dez for probably about 10 years, so maybe a little longer, because of the jazz scene. Dez is one of my favorite bass players on earth, because this is before he joined the band, just because Dez plays bass like a drummer, and most of my favorite bass players are drummers and vice versa. He brings the best parts about jazz improvisation to this stuff. So the best parts about jazz improvisation to me, that we don't get to deal with in like jam band type music, is more harmonic possibilities. Jam band, they tend to stick with one chord, maybe two chords, and they kind of weave in between those two. In jazz, we tend to place a whole lot of altered chords because it changes the nature of, where you're improvising, and you have different options. Because Dez comes from the jazz background, he puts in a whole lot of other stuff, which allows us to just do more, just be better. It allows us to have a fuller improvisatory experience. That's a better way to put it. Ciro, man. Ciro Baptista is one of the funniest people on earth, and there's no getting around it. He's 72. And he's playing percussion. I don't think you all know how difficult it is to do something very small like this over and over again in time for hours and hours and hours. Y'all are dancing off beat. This man is playing on beat, and he's killing the game. Cyril is inventive in a way that most people wish they were. He's that dude. He is that dude. He's the Steve Jobs. He's the one who makes things up. He's the idea guy. And I wish I knew him when he was younger. I wasn't born, but I wish I knew what he was like when he was my age. I'm sure it was crazy, ridiculous. But no, he's one of the best musicians on earth. And his ingenuity and his curiosity is kind of what makes him that dude. Like, he's still trying to learn. And I think the curiosity, like, all of us are extremely curious. And I think that's kind of what got us to this point. But he's one of one. Mm-hmm. All right. Not a girls. Jennifer is the reason I got into that. Jennifer is the one who recommended me to Trey. And Jennifer is, if you didn't know, you might miss it. But her musicality is such that it's not about the big things. It's about the little things. Everybody knows, everybody sees like the singing and like the giant solos and all that stuff. But a lot of the lines that we do in Trey's band, like within the songs, she makes up. Well, Jennifer and Natalie make up a lot of them, but the ones that Jennifer makes up work so well with this style of music because she comes from this style of music. Like, she's been in this band since the beginning of this band. She has a sensibility that I don't have. I come from a different thing. And I appreciate just her sensitivity to the style of music that we're in. And she's sensitive to it, which I'm not. I'm basically stating the differences between us, and that's the thing that I appreciate that much more, because she is so much different than I am, and that's her. That's what I appreciate about her. Now, Natalie and I are the most alike in the band, and because we both come from extremely musical backgrounds, musical families. All of us do, but her, it's different. And knowing that her dad used to be in this band, and her dad used to play with Santana, and her mom's a singer, and that's her background. Natalie works the hardest out of anybody I know. And she's one of the most talented people I've ever met. And I don't, again, like the things that you all see, you see like the solos, or you see us playing, or you see like the little things. Like you all don't see how much work it actually takes to do what we do. And she plays trombone. That's a ridiculous instrument. It's a stupid fucking instrument. I love the trombone. I used to play it. But doing what we do right now is ridiculous. Like we're the three of us are playing analog instruments where everything else is digital and amplified and all this stuff, and like no one else has to work nearly as hard as us three. And then on top of that, she is always, and I mean always, prepared in a way that no one I've ever met is always prepared. And I hope that she gets all the shine that she could ever want, because it's hard to put into words how great she is. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to put into words how difficult it is for everyone to see how great she is. Because she plays a difficult instrument. People are mostly looking at her as opposed to listening to her. And it's got to be rough. It's got to be rough. But she's, in my opinion, she's the most talented out of all of us. And she's the one who I'm looking forward to seeing what happens later. When I first joined the band, it was more of a tentative thing. Like I didn't know Trey, I didn't know these people, I didn't know what to do, I didn't know how our interactions were going to be. That was 10 years ago. Now, you don't really talk about growth for people, over a certain age, but Trey's grown musically since I joined the band, especially in like the last 5-6 years. His musicality is such that, and it goes back to the thing that I was saying before, all of us are very curious, and he's very curious, and he's curious about new music, and he's curious about his own musicality and growth and everything. He's still learning, he's still trying to improve, and that is the only thing, not the only thing, but that's the best part about all of this. It's the best part about everything, about the musicians up on this level who are still trying to get better. Because we're still trying to get better, there's more to learn, there's more to play, and that's why it works. And it works with him because he's that dude. And him being curious and him being the leader guy makes the whole thing, makes the collective better. This goes back to what I was saying before. It's the sum of the parts. It's much more than it is. So he being leader plus band member who's still growing makes it all work.
What 3 things might you tell a person who just learned yesterday of their cancer diagnosis?
What 3 things? Breathe, because they're telling you a lot of information. That first conversation is a lot. So breathe and know that you can ask all the questions you need. That's 1. 2, shore up your circle. Make sure the people who are close to you are the people who need to be close to you. And number 3, it's okay. It's okay. And the thing that's okay is everyone else will be okay. For me, one of the most difficult things has been seeing everyone's face when they talk to you and trying to let them know that it's okay without lying. And that's one of the bigger things, letting people know that it's okay. I mean, letting the people who, you know, are sick know that it's okay to be sick. It's okay to show that you're sick. And all of it is okay. You know what I mean? Like, when I first got sick, I was always trying to show that I was fine. I was trying to like outwardly project fine so the people around me wouldn't worry. So the people around me wouldn't. You don't have to do that. You feel how you're feeling, and it's okay. Yeah, I think that's the third one. Yeah, it's okay to feel how you're feeling. It's okay to be where you are, and it's like that's fine. It's okay. You don't have to project for anybody else. You don't have to show anything. It's okay to be who you are, be how you're feeling, and be okay with that. I think that's the third. Yeah.
And final question for you here, James. If there's one lesson, one takeaway from your story, your whole life, what you've gone through, what you've accomplished, what you've learned, what would you say that one takeaway is?
You don't know the answer. That's it. You don't know the answer. I didn't know when I auditioned for Berkeley that I was going to get a scholarship. And I didn't know that when I got that scholarship, that didn't mean that I actually got in. I didn't know that when I got the phone call from this dude named Trey, from some band called Fish, that was going to change my life. But it did. I don't know the answer. And it's okay to not know the answer. It's all right to try. It's really, really good to try. Always try. And if you mess up, that's fine. If you don't make it, that's fine. If you fail, you're supposed to fail. You can't succeed without failing. That's the biggest takeaway. You can't succeed without failing. So try. Failure is part of the process, and I fail every damn day. You're no one's perfect, and you're never going to be. And I know that a lot of musicians and a lot of artists, once we get to a certain point, we're still striving for perfection. You're never going to get there. Perfection, you've heard this before. Perfection, like you strive for perfection, you're sacrificing the excellence that you could be getting. So go for excellence, make those mistakes, and then do better the next time.
James motherfucking Casey on the Weird Music Podcast, my man. Wishing you all the best, rooting you on. Can't wait to see you out here on tour. Thanks again, man. Yeah, what's up?
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, so this is if this is coming out when you said, which is I guess not today, but next week or so.
Early November.
Early November. So I guess by this time I will have announced that I'm coming out with a Christmas record.
Ooh.
That announcement's coming on the 1st. So next week.
Cool. Well, this would have just been announced then.
Bet. Christmas record. It's happening. It's coming out on November. Well, the first song is coming out November 14th. That's the first thing that I've ever put out under my name. So
hell yeah. This
will be a very interesting little situation. And you're the first time I've talked about it. So
hey,
podcast. Let's go.
Let's go. Can't wait to hear it. James Casey, stay tuned for what he's got coming. Much love, my man.
Appreciate it.